Hi everybody, it's Katie back with another episode of my vlog, and today I want to talk about the walk to nowhere. What's that? I don't know if you guys remember, but way back 5 months ago, when this whole corona quarantine lockdown situation started, 5 months, you guys. That's a long time. Let's just acknowledge that for a second. This has been going on for 5 months. That's pretty crazy. All right. Back at the beginning of lockdown, 5 months ago, I did a vlog for you guys that was my top tips for not going crazy while staying home. And one of the things that I said was absolutely key to not going crazy while staying home is moving your body and getting out of the house. Now, I know that a lot of people have been pretty strict about their lockdown situations and taking it very seriously. And I appreciate that you guys are doing that. And I appreciate that you're properly socially distancing. But I have a feeling that a lot of the people who've been pretty serious about their lockdowns are starting to go stir crazy. And I know this because I've been checking in with friends and family members and people over the last month or so, and, just giving them a call, seeing how they're doing. And the same conversation keeps coming up over and over, where in the course of the phone call, it starts to become very apparent that the person I'm talking to has not been getting out of their house enough. And they've been staying home for days at a time without going anywhere, never interacting with anyone else. And, again, I understand the seriousness of the social distancing and the lockdown, but that doesn't mean we can't interact with other people, and it doesn't mean we can't leave our house. So in every case, with all of these folks that I've talked to, all these different friends and people, I've said, hey, it sounds like you need to get out more. And my number one recommendation for getting out more, especially now that it's summertime and the weather is beautiful, is go for a walk. And I've heard the same thing over and over from folks. They say, yeah, I know I really should get out more. I should go for a walk. But I just don't like walking without a purpose. I want to have somewhere to walk to. And all of the places that I would normally go to are either closed or limited or feel like a place I can't go to and be safe right now or whatever. And so my walk would not have a purpose. My friends, I am here to tell you about the joys of the walk to nowhere. I do a walk every day. You guys know that I at least do a dog walk. And on days that I don't go for a run in the morning, I also try to do another walk by myself, usually early in the morning. And I call my walk the walk to nowhere because that's what it is. I'm not walking to get from point A to point B. I'm walking for the sake of taking a walk. The walk to nowhere is fantastic. I can space out and just let my mind wander and think about nothing. I can mull over, maybe something that happened the day before that's kind of stuck in my craw and bugging me a little bit. I can problem solve about, things that are going on in my art life or my work life or my life with my children and whatnot. If there's a conflict or an issue or something that needs to be kind of mulled over, I use the walk to nowhere for that. Sometimes I use it to plan my day. Sometimes I use it to rehearse my vlog. That's what I did this morning on the walk to nowhere. It is fantastic to get out there and go for a walk with no purpose. And I call it the walk to nowhere as kind of a joke. It's a walk back to your house. It's a walk to wherever you want to go to in your mind or in physical reality near your house, that then loops back to, where you live. But it's also another form of a time machine, right? It's a walk into the future. And I'm pretty good, obviously, at dealing with totally unstructured environments and, just doing something for the sake of doing it. But I hear you, friends, who want to have some kind of a mission or some kind of a reason to go for a walk. And so I invite you to make your walk to nowhere into a walk to somewhere or a walk to some time, right? You can choose a distance you want to walk and set a goal for yourself. You can choose an amount of time you want to walk and set that as your goal. You can roll a dice or, a die, or spin a spinner or flip a coin or whatever and make it a randomized walk, right? Flip a coin for turning left or turning right when you get to a corner, or pick a direction and say yourself, I'm going to do 1.5 mile walk today. So I'm going to walk 3/4 of a mile away from my house in this direction and then turn around and come back. A lot of people don't like to do a turn around and come back walk. They like to do a loop instead, but the turn around and come back can be really fun especially if you're walking somewhere you don't normally walk, because of course, even though you're seeing the same things on your way back, you're seeing it from the completely opposite point of view, right? 180 degrees turned around facing the other way. You of course see totally different things than what you saw on the way out. I'm a visual person, so I love to notice things while I'm walking around. Sometimes I stop and take a picture. I don't usually, but you can take your phone with you and you've got a camera in your pocket and, make yourself a photo scavenger hunt or like a game of I Spy while you're walking. Say to yourself, today I'm going to find things that are blue, or I'm going to see how many different animals I can get a picture of on my walk. That's a tricky one. Or maybe close-ups of just flowers today. Or I'm gonna see if I can find a house for every color of the rainbow on my walk, right? Or I'm gonna look for something that starts with every different letter of the alphabet, or, whatever, right? I mean, like, the possibilities are literally endless. My favorite thing to do, my favorite mission to set for myself, and the challenge that I set for my friends who have expressed that they don't want to just take a walk aimlessly, is explore your own neighborhood. And that sounds a little bit silly because a lot of people, I've lived in this neighborhood for 7 years. I know people who've lived in their house for 30 years. And, saying to someone, go ahead and explore your neighborhood if they've lived somewhere for 30 years sounds a little ridiculous. But I'm willing to bet you're a person, which means you're a creature of habit, which means you've created certain routes through your neighborhood, which are the ones that you normally take. And you don't take any other route through your neighborhood. But like, what happens if you just go one street over from the one you normally walk down and instead walk on that parallel street, or 2 streets over, or again, a corner that you normally turn right at, turn left at it instead. Go down every street in your neighborhood. Go on Google Earth and make a circle that's a 1 mile radius with your house in the middle of it, and go, I'm going to explore every single street in this neighborhood. I'm going to walk down all of them. There's no time limit on this. I mean, we've had lockdown going for 5 months. You could have explored your entire neighborhood in the last 5 months, but you can also start now and keep going. And I guarantee you'll see something new. Even if if somehow you travel down every street in your neighborhood all the time, which again, I doubt it, but let's say that you do. If you walk down those streets instead, if you look into people's yards, if you say, I'm gonna really notice what's going on around me, you're gonna see something new. I guarantee it. There's just no way you've seen all of it. And the other thing is, neighborhoods are constantly changing. Just because you've lived somewhere for 7 or 30 years doesn't mean you know everything about that neighborhood, because there's new people that moved in the last year just down the street. Have you met them? Have you seen their house? You don't even need to meet them. You can be shy and not introduce yourself at all, but you can walk by their house and check it out and see how it's different from maybe the last time you walked by that house. If you live in a more urban, sort of a downtown environment, there's so much to see in terms of signs and artwork and businesses and stuff like that. Sometimes I set myself a challenge of, can I find every letter in the alphabet represented on a different store sign, right? Or you can take pictures of them if you want, but again, you can just kind of catalog it in your head while you're walking by, or don't even catalog it. I'm just giving you ideas to help get you out there on the walk to nowhere, because the walk to nowhere is a real joy. This morning on my walk to nowhere, I walked through a neighborhood that I've never walked through before. I decided to head over close to Mount Tabor and just walk over there and see what I saw. I got about 1/3 of the way up the side of the mountain, and then I was like, I'm walking up a mountain and this is really hard, so I'm gonna turn at the next intersection and go downhill instead. And that's what I did. I saw lots of cool front yards. I saw lots of fruit trees, lots of apple trees and plum trees in that neighborhood, just going wild, fruit all over the sidewalk. I restrained myself. I didn't take anybody's apples or plums, but I will admit, when I finally passed the yard that had the entire front fence covered with green grapevines, I took a few grapes. They were delicious. Thank you, neighbor. I saw a handful of people out walking their dogs. I saw 4 runners. I always clock the runners when I see them going by. I always try to give them a smile if they'll make eye contact with me, but sometimes they're just in their own zone and they don't. I even saw a lady doing yoga on her balcony of her apartment. She was doing a headstand when I walked by. It was so cool. I got to say hello to a couple of bus drivers who were just parked and taking their break. All kinds of things that, if I hadn't been out on the walk, I wouldn't have seen that stuff. I like to take my walk early in the morning, which is pretty great, except the two downsides of the early morning walk are, of course, when you head east, you have the sun directly in your face, which is a little bit of a challenge. And because it's the time of day when people are starting to get up and go to work, sometimes there can be a little bit of traffic situations also, but it's not like a problem. But that's another thing you can do with your walk to nowhere is vary what time of day you're walking, right? Try an early morning walk. Try a later in the day walk. If you don't feel comfortable being out after dark, don't worry about that one. But there's a whole lot of daylight to walk around in. I'm reasonably sure that everyone who's watching this video lives in a neighborhood that's safer than mine. I live in a pretty crappy neighborhood. If for some reason you don't feel safe walking around in your own neighborhood, well, there's some other things I'd invite you to change in your life. But walking a dog is a great way to walk around in any neighborhood without feeling like unsafe about it. So if you want to develop a walking practice and you somehow live in a neighborhood that you don't feel like is safe to walk around in, maybe a friend has a dog you can borrow. It does not have to be a big dog. Any dog over about 20 pounds will intimidate anybody who was trying to mess with you. But again, I don't think any of you actually live in that sketchy of a neighborhood. The other thing, of course, is you have to have some level of mobility and physical fitness in order to be able to do a walk of any length. But I think, again, barring a disability or some kind of serious mobility problem, most people can go out for, a half-mile walk once a day, maybe a mile. Take your kids with you. They can do it. They can do a half-mile walk. I mean, a toddler can't, but that's what strollers are for. As your kids get bigger, they'll have more stamina. Their legs will be longer. You can make the walks longer. You can make the walk with the kids into a game. But again, I encourage you to go for a walk by yourself also. Sort of separate from the dog walk, kid walk thing. The walk to nowhere, it's its own deal. So that's it. I just wanted to tell you guys about the walk to nowhere, tell you about my walk to nowhere, tell you about how much I love just walking around and looking at stuff and walking down new streets or new blocks of streets that I've never been down before. It's a great time. There's not a lot of people out on the street. You need to get out more. Unless you're an exercise fiend, you probably need to get out more. You need to move your body. You got to get out of that house. And remember, as Tolkien said, not all those who wander are lost. So, why don't you guys get out there and wander around and tell me about what you saw on your walk to nowhere, or better yet, convince a friend that they should be taking a walk to nowhere also, because it's something I truly think can benefit just about everybody. All right, that's it for now, you guys. I'll be back in a couple more days with another episode of my vlog. Until then, stay safe, take care, and thanks so much for watching.